There's trash, there's garbage, there is straight sewage, and then there's Lucasfilm. Never go full SJW. Because if you don't know, the currency of the Kool-Aid head colored SJWs is likes on Twitter rather than cash. That is a bold move by those weirdos. Let's see how it works out for them. But I just want to say that I've come up with a new name for those wretched scum and villainy over at Lucasfilm from now on. They'll be referred to as Lucifer Film because the clowns are chucking and jiving, performing in the circus that is Disney, led by the ringmaster Kathleen Kennedy, who is as red as the CCP. Hit the subscribe button if you want more Star Wars content. Now honestly, after Geode, I thought there was nothing else in the High Republic that they could do to go even lower than it was already. But the folks over at Lucifer Film keep subverting my expectations. This is why all the kids are going to manga in droves. I mean, are these two freaks those Marvel superheroes, Snowflake and Safe Space? But you know, joking aside, you know what makes the High Republic so hilarious is that every single character is so creepy looking. All the while, Lucifer Film is trying their best to not offend anyone. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to put 2 and 2 together and figure out that whoever made these characters belongs in a mental institution, far away from any civilian human contact. Anyway, the High Republic doesn't need enemies. They're their own worst enemy. I, for one, am not high enough to enjoy the High Republic, and it will be a high failure in sales very soon too, because they don't have the Mandalorian to save them anymore. They were riding off the back of Luke Skywalker's return to sell copies. Now that that's over, that shit won't work anymore. And you know, after experiencing the cancer known as Disney Star Wars, I've had some time to self-reflect, and perhaps I've been too harsh on Mr. George Lucas when I made fun of CGI Jabba the Hutt in the special edition of A New Hope back in the day, because when you have a rock as a fucking main character, it's true evidence that not only are we living in the dark times, but the overpaid frogs at Lucifer Film are creatively broken and are doomed to fail. And one must ask, are you stupid or just incredibly lazy? Because I love how Jon Favreau is like, let's make a series about a mysterious Mandalorian and a baby Yoda. And Dave Filoni comes back and says, let's make a series about a clone Spec Ops unit that goes rogue after Order 66. And Kathleen Kennedy stands up and says, we have a rock. I mean, can someone please teach me how to be that incompetent and have so many zeros in my paycheck? I mean, if people still don't believe that Kathleen Kennedy is sabotaging everything from Star Wars, they must be blind or stupid. Because that is why the title of the video is that she admits Disney Star Wars is dead. Because here's why. Because the Chad that is Star Wars legend says to the Virgin High Republic, you could not live with your own failure. And where did that bring you? Back to me. Because here's the brain dead statement from the CEO of Lucifer Film less than a year ago. There is no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about what the next iteration might be. For me to explain to you how insanely stupid that statement is, a car would have to run my head over at 100 miles an hour. But I'm going to try and translate that for you. What she meant to say was that we don't have any creativity. What do you mean talk to George Lucas and watch the previous movies and the 1,000 of excellent stories in the expanded universe? Nah, that's too hard for us. We'd much rather just sip on our soy lattes and be the absolute incompetent idiots that we are. You know, my only comfort is in knowing that this generation of weirdos will die off by their own impotence. Anyway, now, why am I bringing this quote up other than the fact that she probably thought that everybody would forget that she threw the notes out? No! Because Lucasfilm is now re-releasing 300-page novels from Star Wars legends, therefore confirming and finally acknowledging their incompetence at creating literally anything. And that is why Disney Star Wars is dead. The Star Wars Legends books may not be canon anymore, but they're still home to some of the best and most beloved stories in the Star Wars universe, which is why some of them are getting new re-releases. Isn't that hypocritical since Kathy Kennedy used the pages to wipe her ass? Anyway, in celebration of Lucasfilm's 50th anniversary, some of the best Star Wars Legends books are getting new trade paperback editions complete with new cover art. Del Rey Books announced Friday. The new run of books will be part of what Del Rey and Lucasfilm are calling the Essential Legends Collection. The new line will pull in some of the fan favorite novels from the last 40 years of Star Wars books. The first batch of novels in the new collection will include 3 classics: Heir to the Empire, Path of Destruction, and Shatterpoint. Now, if you looked in the dictionary and found the definition of the word desperation, this would literally be it. Re-releasing books and other written properties that the Lucasfilm president already publicly stated didn't exist. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an admission of defeat, because she's running back to what people actually liked about Star Wars. And what about George Lucas's story treatments that she flushed down the toilet because the sequel trilogy could have used that, my god. Anyway, back to the quote. The Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn remains possibly the most famous of the classic Legends books and the first book of the Thrawn trilogy. Introduces Grand Admiral Thrawn to the Star Wars universe, and if you believe the rumors, he's the main villain of the next Mandalorian season. Which is ironic, of course, but nobody cares about the Mandalorian after what they did to Gina Carano. Now, The Path of Destruction is the first novel of Drew Karpyshyn's Darth Bane trilogy. Bane was a Sith Lord from the days of the Old Republic, who originally created the Sith's Rule of Two. Matthew Stover's Shatterpoint is a Clone Wars era novel that follows Mace Windu as he becomes embroiled in a war on a planet Harun Ka. Now, I'm going to take you to a simpler time. Just think where we were at with Star Wars right when the Mandalorian Season 2 finale ended. Compared to now, I would have never thought they could have done so much damage so quickly. Every day I wake up and I wonder how far this franchise can fall, and then Disney shows me. But at least we finally got to see Luke Skywalker. And speaking of Skywalker, if you haven't read Star Wars Legacy with Cade Skywalker, I implore you do. It's one of my favorite comics, and it's honestly more worthy of being the true continuation of the Skywalker story than the Mary Sue Disney retcon Soy trilogy was. And on that bombshell, Mannix, fade out.